Now I want to talk about matters investing that money, and of course the fact that government has been trying to privatize some of its assets through the Kenya Privatization Commission, and the chairman of that organization here in studio with us today to discuss just that. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Peter.
Mr. Henry Obwocha, the chairman of the Privatization Commission here in Kenya. Karibu sana.
Yes, asante sana.
Now, first off, of course, to bring us up to speed on just where this exercise has been. Yes. In the first instances, in the late 90s, early 2000s, we started to hear the conversation about privatization.
That's correct.
Then we saw what happened with Telcom and Safaricom and many other such bodies.
Correct.
Where is this conversation right now?
From the 2008, when there was the Safaricom,
yes.
The Privatization Commission has been going on with the process. And as you know, basically those corporations that are not doing well, where we want to revamp them and turn them around to profit making. Basically, there is a new board now that has come into place, and they have fast-tracked. They have reviewed the corporations that were given to the commission by government, and we submitted this to Treasury, but mainly the ones we are now handling are the banks. There are 1 or 2, 3 banks we really want to see if we can raise money, even to the extent of getting an investor to turn around their operations to make profit.
Yeah, let's say just interrupt that conversation right there, because for a person like me who would be looking to invest in a remotely successful company, some of the companies on that list are not very attractive currently because they need to be revamped. Yes. But government of Kenya also has other assets through companies like ICDC and the like, which some of them are very profitable. Are we going to see some of those starting to come on stream for privatization anytime soon? Or are we going to, well, continue working to try and revamp the ones that we are talking about?
Yes, there are some that already when government gave them to the commission, they looked at them and they said, no, these ones are profit-making, like Kengen.
Yes.
They give it back to the shareholders.
Yes.
But these particular ones I'm talking about, the banks, the hotels, are not doing very well. So we are looking at this so that we can try and see how we sell the shares and, if possible, get the investors. This also includes the sugar companies, as you know.
Yes. Let's attack it sector by sector. Let's start with the banks.
Yes.
The fact that some of these banks, like National Bank, was already restructured by government, created a sort of bond that took up the amount of debt that was in there, and we've repeatedly seen sometimes good performance, sometimes bad performance. What do we need to put in place to ensure that not just National Bank, we have Consolidated Bank, we have others, that these companies start to become more attractive to investors? Of course, apart from funding, which has been the key sticking point thus far.
Right. But we need to quite get it clear to the public that we are actually not selling these corporations or banks or institutions. What we're trying to do is to try and see a way of injecting money. And one of those is through selling shares, either through the IPOs
or strategic investor.
So this is what we are doing. At the moment, the Commission has got the data from these banks. We have forwarded it to government. What's remaining on the banks is that the cabinet needs to make a decision whether we are going to proceed with the sale of shares or IPOs or strategic investor or a merger of the 3 banks. As you have said, the Development Bank of Kenya, the National Bank of Kenya, and the Consolidated Bank of Kenya.
Now, every time we have that conversation, there is hue and cry amongst those banks. Some of their depositors bolt because some are saying, we don't want to be associated with this bank is moribund, the other is 1 or 2. So how do we get these people to start talking to each other, then to see this as an exercise that is essentially necessary and good for the future? Indeed, how then do we start even to get the public to appreciate what is going on?
Obviously, you know, the shareholders are not one.
Yes.
The shareholders, for example, National Bank has other shareholders, like the National Social Security Fund and government. So it's not one basket for the shareholders.
Yes.
But the banks are doing well, except that we want them to come to the level of KCB, for example, that we also privatized, is one of our successful stories.
Yes.
So that then its operations are accepted and people can move in freely and with confidence. I think that's where we want to go. We are not saying these banks are doing badly, but
yes.
we really want to bring them to the level of other banks,
yes.
even foreign banks like Barclays, Stanbic, and so on. Yeah.
Well, let's talk a bit about the sugar companies. Some of them are defunct. They have been out of work for some decades. Some would not make solid business cases as they are because they don't have sugar stock. Sugar cane, they don't have supplier farmers, those sorts of things. What would be the way forward for these companies that need to be revived from the ground up? What essentially should we be looking for?
The sugar companies, we obviously have made inroads by getting the actual data
yes.
of each one of them. There are 5 government-owned, controlled farms from the South Nyanza one,
yes.
Sony, to the 3 in Kisumu, Nandi,
yes,
and Kericho area,
rest, yes.
Mohoroni, Chemili, and Miwani, and then the one in Bungoma, Nzoia.
Yes.
Right now, when we had the data and it had reached a situation where we wanted to get the expression of interest of even investors and the manner in which we had structured the sale, the county governments went to court and stopped it. So I may not really basically be...
Yes, and even without pushing that conversation, which might get us into
yes.
contempt of court.
Yes.
The devolution conference is ongoing. The fact that for a lot of counties, they then start to claim these assets as their own. For example, I'll give a simple example, Cabernet Hotel.
Yes.
Whether it's doing well or not, it is located in that place. It could be a way for bringing up tourism in those places.
Yes.
Are we going to start to see a move to give counties bigger leeway in making decisions about their assets? And then, of course, would they be able at their level, for example, to create cooperatives that can then be able to come and start buying some of these assets?
Correct, but as you know, many of these are national investments.
Yes.
They are based elsewhere in the country. It's only one, not one. If you start from, for example, from the Kenya Ports Authority,
yes.
the Kenya Airways
yes.
Authority, I mean Kenya Airways Authority.
Yes.
There are many of this type where government has invested its money, and the new constitution did not make it clear whether the national government should be the one dealing with it
yes.
or the county governments. This is one of the issues that is in court for the court to tell us who should be handling these national investments. Should they transfer to the county governments
yes.
or not? I don't want to go into the merits and demerits of these because it's going to be determined by the court.
Yes. Well, indeed, that's why we want to bring the conversation to a close here today, sir. But the fact of the matter is this is a source of concern for many Kenyans who either want to come in as investors or see these assets in their backyards and say that we might have a stake or we want to put our money into these going forward. Well, indeed, those are questions we will put to you at our next sitting.
Yes.
But thank you for taking the time to be with us here today.
Thank you very much,
Mr.
Peter.
Obwocha from the Privatization Commission of Kenya. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Well, we now want to close here on KTN Business Today, but just before we go, just to look at the Twitter poll, and we had asked, are women satisfactorily rising to the occasion and taking up leadership positions in higher ranks? Of course, the hashtag was Business Today. Well, the results are in. Yes, 51% and no, 49%. And just to sample very quickly, 2 of the things that have been said. Well, Keba Namatrak says, if not for affirmative action, women would see top positions via wooden spectacles. I don't know what he means. And then Bob Bonderi says, which country can we talk about? Posing their question that more people can deal with on International Women's Day. Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us here today on KTN Business Today. My name is Peter Akaba, and this has been today's edition of KTN Business Today. Up next is Worldview with, well, news making headlines right across Africa and across the region. Well, we will meet again at the same time tomorrow. Do have yourselves a good afternoon. Again, I'm Peter Wakaba.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, I hope we can.